Welcome to Fraser Mac Gaming. I'm Fraser Mac and this is my latest Fraser Mac Gaming news video, and today it's all about E3. As usual, some reveals were spoiled by leaks. I think Rage 2 and Fortnite. We did get some big surprises in though. Ubisoft revealed that Star Fox will be in Starlink Battle for Atlas. Super Mario Party is coming to Switch, and Resident Evil 2 is getting a remake. Everything else was pretty much as expected though. The big companies all went crazy for cash with new mobile games. They showed off lots of lovely games that won't arrive until next year or later. Popular franchises got some big bold sequels like Wolfenstein and Doom. And Sony wowed us with epic first party titles as always. And Nintendo were as predictably unpredictable as always, and showed us a Super Smash Bros. Documentary for 25 minutes rather than any of the games we were expecting. The biggest show of all though that no one is talking about and you've probably never heard of though is from Limited Run Games. God, I love those guys and gals at Limited Run Games. So who are Limited Run Games? What did they do that was so awesome, and why should you care? Get comfortable and find out more after this. Limited Run Games is an American game distributor that focuses on selling games previously only available as digital downloads. They sell them in a limited supply, physical edition, and they also run special collector's editions as well. They want to preserve physical copies of classic franchises and indie games because they're huge game collectors themselves. Limited Run Games was founded by Josh Fairhurst and Douglas Bogart. They're also a part of Mighty Rabbit Studios, who are a games developer. They were founded in 2015 and the first two releases were Mighty Rabbit Studios games, Breach and Clear and Saturday Morning RPG. They focused on releasing games on the PS4 and Vita, thanks to Sony's more flexible approach to batch volumes for physical releases. It's no secret that Doug Bogart is also a big Vita fan as well. So after early successes of the business model, they released a physical version from a classic franchise in Oddworld's New and Tasty. I loved that and back in the day. They've gone from strength to strength ever since, releasing physical versions of a wide variety of indie gems on the PS4 and the Vita. They've covered every genre, including a number of my personal favourites and games I'd love to see on the Switch. Hint, hint. Fast forward to 2018, and with the success of Nintendo's latest hybrid console and the thriving indie scene, Limited Run Games got involved in the Switch action, and that started back in March this year. First up was a point-and-click adventure game with a cult following in Thimbleweed Park. Sales obviously went well because it sold out fast, and the Switch games have kept coming ever since. Tribute Games had a double release in April with everyone's favourite Ghost Pirate, also looking like a condom-headed hero, Flinthook. The second game from Tribute Games was Mercenary Kings, so think run and gun Metal Slug if you're not that familiar with it. May also saw the return of Pixel Junk Monsters in Pixel Junk Monsters 2. May was just an awesome month for games on the Switch, and Mighty Rabbit Studios' 80s nostalgia RPG Saturday Morning RPG also got a release on Switch. In lead up to E3, Slime Sand was released. It's a fairly rough looking pixelated 2D platformer, but it's got a truly unique and rather weird story. You're a slimy thing and you've been eaten by an evil worm, so you've got to escape obviously. Please don't underestimate this game or judge it by its cover. The limited but distinctive colour palette is key to the gameplay, and there's a huge amount of depth to the game that you wouldn't expect on first glance. It's fast paced, it's tricky and it's charming all at the same time. It's got lots of glowing reviews. If you want a copy and you're watching on the day of release, that's the 22nd of June, then copies are still available for pre-order on the Limited Run Games website, so I'll leave links down below for that. If you're watching this after the pre-order has ended, then you can rob a bank and try and buy one on eBay for about £1 million. These games are all limited run and it's got Nintendo on the box, so it's like gaming gold. That brings us right up to E3, well, almost. Those magical too good to be true people at Limited Run Games dropped a little pre-E3 announcement that some people might have missed. I know I did initially. So West of Loathing is getting a physical release on Switch in August. Yes, everyone's favourite black and white stick-person comedy western that looks like it's been drawn by a child or people with the artistic talent of a small child. That's like me. Yes, it's getting a physical copy. So Yeah, it's an aesthetic choice. You know, my lack of artistic talent is not a choice, though. I haven't played it yet, but I saw EGX Res this year, and I can't wait for the physical version, so roll on August. Without further ado, it's time for the main event. Limited Run Games opened up their E3 conference with a very cheesy intro. Ignore the production values, it's all about the games. The internet has made these events global. You don't need to impress a few hundred members of the media to sell you games. Limited Run Games got right to the point, and straight off the tee, they hit us with an indie big hitter in Golf Story. I didn't have a Switch when it first came out, so I can't wait for this to get a physical release. It gives me a great excuse to buy this RPG mixed with golf and adventure, and that's the real value in indie games and indie developers right there. While EA are telling you to subscribe, then subscribe to Elite, Premium or Platinum whatever with loot box, gold, silver and give me all your money, indie developers like Sidebar Games are taking risks and mixing genres to come up with new ideas and games that fans love. You can pick this one up with me and get your 2D top-down sports and RPG fix all in one when this is available for pre-order in September. Next up was Iconoclast, a game made by a one-man team in Joachim Sandberg. It's due out in fall, but no specific date yet, and it's for PS4 and Vita only at the moment. Don't worry Switch fans, it is getting a release on our favourite handheld later this year, but there's no firm date for it yet. It's a one-man team, be patient. I was lucky enough to play it on the Switch at EGX Res a few months ago, and boy was it good. It's a colourful 2D platformer with Metroidvania elements where you play as a self-taught mechanic called Robin. There's a lot of exploration, platforming, killing enemies, and using your skills as a mechanic and a gunslinger to turn gears, solve puzzles, and avoid being captured by the sinister religious authority known as the One Concern. It looked fantastic with a very cool retro 16-bit influence, but it was very bright and charming. It played really well. It was a very busy booth, and I just fell in love with it. So you can order this game and join Robin on our adventures later this year, but it's only for PS4 and Vita for now, hopefully. For all you fans of horror games, Limited Run Games has you covered. Layers of Fear is getting a physical release for Switch in October. I don't know much about Layers of Fear as I'm not a massive fan of horror games. I love films like Saw and The Collector, but I've never really got into horror games. You know, I don't know why. I've done some research though, and it's a psychological horror game where you play as an unnamed character returning home after a court hearing. You're an artist and you set about working on your masterpiece, but you have to explore the empty house and discover the truth behind what happened to your family and your own dark past. It looks like an interesting game for fans of the horror genre, and allowing games with more adult themes is a real positive step from Nintendo. There seems to be far more games catering for horror fans now than there's ever been. There's been a bundle arriving on Switch in the last year or so you can discover the mysteries within Layers of Fear when it gets a physical release for Switch in October. Anyone really sensitive to stroby flashy lights should probably look away now. I think it could also give most people a migraine if you play this next game too long. Don't let anyone tell you that Limited Run Games is a one-trick pony. They release all kinds of games and cater for everyone, no matter what genre you like. Exhibit A, Thumper. It's been described as a rhythm violence game, whatever that means. It was developed by a two-man team of Mark Fleury and Brian Gibson. When a developer and a bassist combine, this is what you get. You have to guide a space beetle, yep, you heard that right, guide a space beetle along a track through some flashing fantasy worlds. You also have to press the button to hit certain notes in time with the music, like most rhythm games obviously, and you have to avoid obstacles, follow the track around bends, jump over spikes, and destroy all sorts of enemies that get in your way. Extremely fast, it's extremely furious, and it's full of flashing lights and awesome music, of course, which I'm not allowed to play because of stupid YouTube rules. It's not usually my type of game, but I know enough about it to know a lot of Switch fans are going to be very excited to get a physical copy of this. And good news is you don't have long to wait, as the pre-orders open on July 20th. One of the biggest reveals from Limited Run Games was Oceanhorn. Not only that they were releasing a physical copy of the indie love letter to The Legend of Zelda and Wind Waker, but that it was available on their website during the conference. I ordered mine right away. The first 5,000 orders were being shipped within 2 or 3 weeks, and open pre-orders are still available at the time of recording, as far as I know. It's a 3D Zelda-inspired action-adventure game, and it's supposed to be, an absolutely charming, fun game on the Switch, so I'm counting down the days till mine arrives. The next title announced by Limited Run Games is a real star. Dad joke of the day over. Yes, Cosmic Star Heroine, the Final Fantasy, Phantasy Star and Chrono Trigger inspired RPG is coming to Switch, so obviously it's an homage to those 16-bit era games that we all know and love. This was exclusively revealed during the presentation as far as I can see. This is another game I've not played yet, so coming to Switch is just fantastic news. I'm really excited about this. The game has an awesome soundtrack, it'll have you reminiscing about, 90s sci-fi and Saturday morning cartoons. I really wish I could play it for you, but you'll have to watch the trailer online for that one, but it'll definitely get you very pumped up to play this game. The main character is Elisa, so a top government agent, but she's discovered a dark conspiracy and you're on the run, and your mission is obviously to save the day. There are 11 playable characters in total. It involves field-based combat like Chrono Trigger, and it takes place on 3 different planets, so it may be fairly short in length. I've seen some comments online about that, but this retro kind of RPG, if you're a fan of those games, you'll absolutely love it. I'm so excited to play it. The digital release will be in August and the physical release will be later this year. Not long to wait for this one, but just look at the game. It looks fantastic. It's a real beautiful, just homage to those sort of 16-bit games. I'm really excited for that, and it's another fantastic get for the Switch, Cosmic Star Heroine. From a game I'm really excited for to one that might be breaking my limited run streak, yes, Night Trap. It was announced back in April it's coming to Switch, and it was given a release date. So in July, you'll be able to pre-order a copy of this cult game when it goes live on the Limited Run Games website. Might not be for me, but check this one out if you're interested. Something I am really excited for is the release of gorgeous 3D platformer Ukulele. Yes, Team 17 and Playtonic Games' spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie is finally getting a physical release on Switch. It was funded by a Kickstarter campaign that was started by former Rare employees, so that was the company that originally made Banjo-Kazooie. It smashed its original fundraising goals and raised record-breaking £2 million. So with all this hype, expectations were very high, and the game didn't please everyone. So there were some technical issues. One of my favourite YouTubers, Arlo, highlighted the camera being a bit of an issue, and I think other people did as well. Others were a bit critical of, it being too much of an homage to the original Banjo-Kazooie, and feeling that game may be a little bit outdated now. I'm sure others probably thought it wasn't close enough to the original. But that's by the by. It was, it also had to compete with Super Mario Odyssey as well, so one of the greatest games of all time, and one of the biggest selling games, of all time. I'm sure it will be in the end. It's a beautiful ode to the late 90s and the days of the N64 though, and Ukulele will be available in August for pre-order through Limited Run Games, so I'm getting one, and hopefully you will too. Spelunky is a game I knew nothing about before the conference, and it was one of the great finds for me. The original Spelunky game was released 10 years ago on PC and has gone on through various iterations across various platforms since. It's a dungeon crawler, kind of roguelike, mixed with a platformer, and it looks a lot of fun. It's very charming, it's colourful, and it just, it puts a smile on my face. It just looks like so much fun. If you like games like SteamWorld Dig 2 and the 2D Mario games, like I do and like millions of other people do, then I think you'll really enjoy this. It's being released by Limited Run Games on PS4 and Vita later this year. There's no set date yet. Here's hoping it arrives on Switch at some point too, but I'll definitely be picking up a copy as I can't wait to play this indie gem. I like to keep up to date with news on the indie games coming to the Switch, or ones that are rumoured to be coming to the Switch, but Dust and Elysian Tale was another surprise for me. It came totally out of the blue. It just looked fantastic. Humble Hearts game. It's been on various other platforms like Xbox 360, Windows, Linux, Mac, iOS, PS4. It's been on everything, and it's finally coming to Switch. I didn't know it was going to be coming beforehand, but yes, just look at it. It looks fantastic. I mean, look at the graphics, look at the colour palette, the style, just looks amazing. So, Dust and Elysian Tale, it's an action RPG with Metroidvania elements. It just looks absolutely stunning. You play as the main character, Dust. You awaken a forest, and you're approached by this living sword known as the Blade of Ara. You're joined by the sword's tiny guardian Fidget, who has magical powers, and you're setting out to find some answers to, why you've woken up where you are, and what is going on in the towns and villages nearby. So you can discover new abilities, level up, you can gain experience points to improve your health, your strength, defense, or magic. All of these will be needed to battle evil monsters, that have taken over the local villages and towns. So looks like there's big boss battles and lots of action. I love action RPGs, just there's far more fast paced and interesting. It looks like it'll be an absolute smash hit. I'm definitely picking up a copy when it releases through limited run games later this year, but there's not a confirmed date yet. But I just can't wait for more news on this. So just, keep up to date on the website or Twitter for limited run games, and I'm sure they'll put more info out when it's available. But Dust and Elysian Tale comes out later this year through limited run games, and I'm so excited. This looks like an amazing game. Just one more thing. As if all those games weren't enough for one conference, shortly after the limited run games E3 stream ended, they announced that Kingdom Newlands would be getting a physical release on Switch. Just so many games. It's the first collaboration with Raw Fury, and it will release the pixelated 2D kingdom building simulation on PC, PS4 and Switch today. That's June 22nd when I'm recording this. There'll be a limited number of collector's editions that will go live at 10 AM Eastern Time in the US and 3 PM in the UK. So a regular physical edition is available for pre-order as usual. I'll leave lots of links down below, but it looks a really cool retro-inspired building sim, and I'll be first in the queue to pick one up after I've finished uploading this video. So there you have it. Limited run games are awesome, at least in my opinion they are. I hope they keep doing what they're doing for many years to come. So in total they announced 8 games for Switch and another 2 if you count West of Loathing and Kingdom Newlands. They announced a host of other Vita and PS4 games. These were just the Switch titles and my personal favourites. The games I'm most excited about are probably Cosmic Star Heroine, Iconoclast, and probably Dust and Elysian Tale. That looks amazing. It's so difficult to separate them all though. There were so many good games. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Turn on notifications so you get updated when all the latest video comes out. Feel free to leave some comments down below. Let me know which games you're excited for, any games you'd love limited run games to release next, or if you played any of the games that have been announced. I'm on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, so check out all my lovely content. I'll leave lots of links for games mentioned and limited run games down below. There was actually a really cool documentary on their stream, so check that out. But it's goodbye from me and goodbye from all those lovely people at Limited Run Games. See you on the next video.